I am sorry. I am so sorry. I cheated on you. I cheated. But there are good reasons, right? We said we're gonna develop the Godot and Rust version, Godot and Rust, Godot and Unity version of Fiiish on stream, and we did. Um, but this here. Shall we? So obviously playing Fiiish, right? And that's the Godot version with the non-working menus, but that is like 3 steps behind the Unity version. But how is this cheating, you say? And let me... This might be the Steam version of Fiiish. And I played like 5 hours, 2 hours in this session, which is nice. So, yeah, this is the Steam version of Fiiish. And I started last night after the stream. I just wanted to upload some assets and write some texts and stuff. And I accidentally set up, nope. I accidentally set up the wrong direction. Accidentally set up the Steam page for Fiiish. And then I had to test it, and then, you know, blah, blah, blah. Text is still a bit, needs polishing. Obviously, all the screenshots here are kind of development mode. This is actually an iPad screenshot from the old version. Screenshots are all from the dev version with the broken background. All the assets are a bit... There's so many assets needed in so many different resolutions. Nice. So I started to set all this up, and release date is end of next year. Obviously, it will be before that, but the page is not live yet. It's still in beta, so you can see it. I'm not sure what this means, because it is. It definitely works on Sequoia, but wait. Wait. With macOS 15 Catalina. Wasn't? So this is 10.15 for... This is Sequoia, right? This is macOS 15. Because Catalina is 10.15, and 10.15 is 5 years old, so... Are they actually talking about 10.15? I mean, it's obviously running, right? We just started it, so... Yeah, but that's not what we're here for. We're here for some Fiiish, right? I mean, we're slowly getting there. I mean, we're still slightly behind schedule. Well, we're slightly behind schedule, right? We're like 2 weeks in the Unity version, which we worked on yesterday. I mean, it's a game, right? We have the menus, we have progress, we have Unity loading forever. Seriously, Unity, what's wrong with you? I'm pretty sure it's eating 30 gigs of memory too. But we have the Unity version here with the working menu, right? With the menu state stored and the working results screen. And also our permanent progress is correctly serialized, right? So Unity has a massive head start. So what I'm gonna do is I'm not sure what I just clicked. I just wanted to quit Unity, to be honest, and quit the hub as well, just to save like 60 gigabytes of RAM. I'm gonna let Ryder run, because today, I mean, we did a lot of Unity work again, right? We did a lot of Unity work again. 1, 2, 3, 4 shows of Unity. So it's time to go back to Godot and catch up, right? Because Godot kind of got stuck at the in-game pause menu. And I think we need to catch up, right? So we need to, we stopped at the pause menu we have. And we need to save load settings and progress, right? And that's interesting because we run into the same serialization issues we had with Unity. Big endian saving, right? We save big endian. So the last thing was we had the crossfading toggle buttons, right? And crossfade is good. Let's patch up the pause menu, right? And I'm going to go to the wrong direction quite a few times today. So this is the Godot version, right? And I cheated slightly because I needed to export Windows on Mac binaries for that Steam thing. So let's fix that real quick. That's mostly just past settings, right? And nothing major else. So I mean, the untracked files are fine here. So let's do a quick off-stream commit, right? Tweak export settings for Godot. I think they just smashed the car out there. Yeah. Looks good. This will probably trigger a build on GitHub, but I'm fine with that. So let's see where we are, right? Let's play. Let's play. Let's press play. So we have this. We have the pause working, right? Even with the button. We have the settings working. These buttons do nothing, right? But we have you can fade in and out the settings dialog, and it auto fades out on play, right? And we can pause with the keyboard and the button and mix and match this as we want. And we can die. And if we die, we don't get the results screen. We know that, right? So step 1. Let's do the buttons, right? They should be straightforward if I haven't forgotten what we were doing. So the results screen, right? Scripts, in-game pause, not the results screen. Not the results screen, right? So, okay. We have the settings panel here. And this is basically this fadable container. This is the panel and this is the texture. All right. And this is the margin container and this is the V box where the stuff is in. And this is the H box with the buttons, right? And this is let's make this a bit bigger. This is a toggle button, right? Is this already a toggle button? So this already has to go to A and go to B, and I wonder why it's not doing the fading. Was it doing the fading? Did I miss that? The question is, this click working, right? So this is working, but we're not getting clicks, right? So there was a problem with this. So why is this button, right? mean, this button is basically the same as this button, right? This is the pause button, and that has the fade script on it, and then 2 fade states, right? Which is this one, the paused one, and the unpaused one. And this container here has a text music on and music off button, right? And that all, I'm not sure where we left off. Probably bad spot. But if I click on remote here and go to UI and the in-game pause, the settings fadeable. Right, and this is the box container here. This is this. Oh, wait. So this is the fadeable, right? This is the fadeable, and obviously the other one is off. So the question is, why don't we get clicks, right? Why don't we get clicks? It might be that this thing is paused. Remember, we had for the, when we pause the tree, right? So in the, somewhere here in the process, okay, inherit. I'm not sure at which level we did this. Inherit. Inherit, right? So at some level, I wish it would inherit. Inherit. At what level was that, right? Inherit. Oh, this menu here, right? This has process always. So, but if this has process always, right, this is under it, so it should be processed. And it is, because it obviously is fading in and out, right? So why are we not getting clicks? Right, we don't get the A and B. We don't get the A and B. Why is that? That was a bad spot to stop, right? Because we had solved that, but that's like 2 weeks ago. On a press. Didn't we wire up the signal? Right, so on a pressed. So our toggle button container on a pressed is wired up to this, right? And it's not getting, excuse me, needing a bit of time to get back into what we were doing. So why is this button not getting the pressed event? All right. Let's see. We have this dummy button here, right? And that has an on pressed, which just says dummy sound button pressed. Let's see if that button works. And I think that was the reason we put it in, right? So none of this is clickable. So why is that? We had solved that in the last stream and I forgot what it was, right? So oh, was there something with the mouse filter? Was there something we did on the pause button with the mouse? We said pass, right? We had to pass it through the toggle button so the children can actually handle it. So we have to, well, the mouse is pass here, right? And on the fadeable container, let's check the pause button, right? Because that's working. So this is a toggle button. Right? This is the toggle button and this is the fadeable. And on the fadeable, we have filter stop, right? On the fadeable, we have filter stop. So on the container, we have pass, but on the fadeable, we need stop, right? Well, let's put, oh, come on. Let's try this. It would have been too easy. Right, and that doesn't help this dummy button. Why is the dummy button? Why is the dummy button not getting click events? Okay, everything above it. Maybe there's a pass missing somewhere along the way. This is invisible, so that this shouldn't matter. So okay. Right here, I'm gonna add a button, right? I am gonna add a button. A texture button, right? And the texture, one of them is gonna be, I'm just gonna steal one of the, I don't know, UI button textures. And I'm gonna use the cross texture here, right? So I just want to see if that, if we can click this, right? Maybe let's check if we can hover this by just having, I don't know, do we have another button left? On hover, we just switch to the coin, right? So this works, right? This works. So does hover work on this button, right? Let's just put the hover in here as well. Oh, that was the wrong button, right? That was the wrong button. Let's undo this and use the off button. Wait, do we see the on or the off button? We see the on button, right? So let's put the cross on the hover here, right? So when we hover over the on button, it should switch to the cross, right? And the other button, we have to see at which layers things go wrong, right? This button works. And this, oh, remember there was a thing, it only works at the top sin strip, and we didn't find out why. Right? The button only works here. And then the, oh, okay, okay, okay. So let's remove this, right? And actually, let's remove the dummy button. I forgot. So the button only works at the very top, right? Here it doesn't work. And here it really just, at the top it works. And that doesn't make a lot of sense. I have no idea what's going on here. That must be a bug in Godot. So I'm going to ignore that bug for the moment because it's distracting us far too much from where we want to go. And we just remember that, right? So I'm actually going to leave this. Can we? Can we somehow? Okay, let's remove this. So we have the button working, right? If we click at the very top, they work. But obviously, if I turn them both off and then stop and then start the game again, they're both on again, right? And that was a state we wanted to save. That's step one. Let's save that state, right? And for that, we need to save that state somewhere. Yes, to save the state, we need to save. To save the state, we need to save the state somewhere, right? So I'm going to use the same approach, right? In the Unity version, we added a player to game, right? We added a player object, and that player object saves all this stuff, right? So we're going to do exactly the same in the Godot version. Why reinvent the wheel, right? So we have scripts. Let's create a player script, right? And this is class name player. And it extends nothing, right? This is just a player object. So none of the standard stuff. I'm not sure why this makes any sense, but okay. Right, so now we can go to the game and say, hey game, is it private? I forgot the syntax, to be honest. It's just var, right? And then with an underscore. It's just var player equals new player. Var player. Oh, this the whole. Of type player, right? Equals player. Where do you, that's when you mix language. That's what you get when you switch languages too often, right? How do I call a constructor? I don't. How do I initialize this? I forgot. Oh man. I don't want to null it. I actually want to have... Here I null it, right? I am a bit embarrassed, but GD script constructor. Yeah, that is the constructor. So how do I call it? How do I construct object? Object.new. Object.new was the syntax. So this is player.new, right? Ha. So we have a player object now that still does nothing but in the player object, right? And I'm going to steal the variables from here because you're going to need the same anyway, right? So we have a var coins I forgot all the types, but the serializer has them, right? So where's our serializer? Stumbling a bit today, I know. Right, so we have our new resource loader that gets a serializer somewhere. Right, that creates a serializer. Thank you. And that takes integers, 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 and floats. I'm pretty sure we checked that, but class int, assigned 64-bit integer type. Do we have an unsigned 32-bit integer? This will open in the wrong browser, I know it. And it did. And it did, right? So all classes. I'm not sure what's wrong with my internet today. This loading takes forever. Okay. Then let's just use an int, right? Let's just use an int. Why? Oh. Because we're in sudo Python, right? So GD script is one of the downsides of Godot. Let's initialize all of these. And this is actually a bool, right? Which is true by default. And this is music enabled, sound enabled, and this is dirty, and this is false by default, right? So we have the player object now, and then we gonna have a getter and a setter. We could use getter and setter syntax, but we probably just func coins in. Nope, wrong syntax again. It's this, right? Return coins. Nope. Yes. Yes, right? And then let's just do all the getters. Yes, there's an underscore in there, I know. Right, and obviously all these underscores have to go. And actually this is a bool. And this is a bool, right? That's step one. And then obviously we need the setter, and I just want to see if we did so we had an explicit enable and disable, right? For the dirty flag, which makes sense. We didn't really do something with the dirty flag, but func enable sound, right? If is sound enabled, return. Else is sound enabled is true, and is dirty is also true, right? And then we do this the opposite. Let's make this a bit smaller. We do the opposite for the disabled sound, right? And do a not here and do a false here. And then we copy this once more for the, actually for the music, right? So we have music here and music here. And obviously that needs the music member. Right, so we can toggle the state externally. And that's what we're gonna do, right? So the game has the player. So why don't we give the game a func get? Is it get player? Right? We can get the player from the game. So we have the in-game settings dialog somewhere, right? I hope. Where do we have the logic for the menu, right? So here, the logic is on here. I'm not sure what this is. So the thing is, right? So the thing is, right? This is the container and this is the well, this is a settings fadable container, right? And that is set to the center. So technically we probably should have something under that runs the logic or something above it. we want the logic. And that's where I'm not sure where to put stuff in Godot yet, right? So the core question is, does the settings container know that it's potentially fadable? Or is that some external force on it? So I would say it's an external force on it, right? So this is the fadable container that controls the fading. And then we add a child node, which is a container, right? Which is the container, which is just so, which is a container, which is do we want a container here? Why can't I do a layout mode? I mean, technically this doesn't have to be a container, right? So let's delete this container, and I mean, maybe it's just a control, right? Maybe it's just a control. And thank you for, and this is basically the settings dialog, right? This is the settings dialog, and the layout is why? So the thing is, right, I want to push this under here. Oh, that just works. That just works. I just need a node to put all the logic under, right? So let's... I was afraid that I worked so much with Unity in the last days that... So this is the settings dialog, right? This is where all the code for the settings dialog goes. So we add a script. Settings dialog, but can you please put this in scripts? All right. So this is the control that runs all the code, right? And let's ignore this for the moment. Let's see if we broke anything. Let's see if the buttons still work. I didn't check that. And if I press the very top, I still don't know why. I need to bug this, right? I need to find a way around it. So this is where all our logic goes. So when this music toggle button, right, on toggled, and that's just sending a variant. Maybe we want a stronger enum here, right? Because the texture button, well, basically the toggled here, the signal has a string, and maybe, what if we have an enum toggle state, right? And that is A, B, and none. And here we pass through the toggle state. That will break stuff now, right? So we emit toggle state A. And here we emit toggle state B, right? But we already had this signal wired up, right? There's No, we didn't. We emit the toggled, but that is going nowhere, right? This is going nowhere, so we just wire that up to the settings dialog. So how does it know which button it is? Unmusic toggle button container toggled. In the settings dialog, right? In the settings dialog here, we connect this. So the settings dialog has a print music toggled to toggle state variant. Right, to state. Couldn't find type toggle state. That is correct. So how do we, oh, we had that enum problem, right? We did have that. How do we access an enum inside another class? And I think that's not possible, right? So ideally, right, this state here, this toggle state, should be in the toggle button container state, right? But so ideally, I would like to do something like this, right? Oh, that worked. That scoping worked. Didn't we try that with entity IDs? Okay. So let's see if we get the music toggle thing, right? So by adding the state, we broke the pause menu, right? Because that also has this, and this type now is wrong, right? Because it needs to be. Did my screen shrink? Did my screen shrink? Right, so it needs to be this type. Oh, wait. Right, in this case, we don't care about the actual type. We just care about that it changed. Maybe we should be more diligent there. So I have this now, and if I press the music button now, music is toggled to 0 and 1, right? It's because it doesn't. Oh man, it's because it doesn't know how to print state as the actual name, right? So we could do, is it match state, and then toggle button container state dot a music toggle to A, right? And then we do the other thing. Yeah, no. This is B. All right. And yeah, let's just waste the line. Vertical space is free. There's nothing precious about it, right? So we get music toggled to, and I wish I could embed it, just drag it and embed it here. Right, music toggle to A. And music toggle to B. I'm not sure why A is, maybe A and B is the wrong way around, thinking about it. So right, when we press to, yeah, when we press B, we go to A, right? So it was the wrong way around. But now we have our music sync done, right? So basically what we can do is, and this will be again through the game, and this needs the game, right? So we need an export, right? Because we want to wire up the game. So we do an add export game bar game equals null. Right, but in the settings dialog here in the inspector, we have the game now. And we can just drag the game in, right? So we have a game now. And from the game, we get the player, right? So we have var player equals game dot get player. And then we say player A is enable music. And B is basically, B is disable music, right? And that's it. I mean, we ignore that state, right? So, but we save it in the player. We do nothing with it, right? But so if we restart this, we have the same state. Well, we have the same state anyway, right? So we need to do the serialization now. And for this, we just call player.save, right? Right here. When the player toggled this, we want to save. And player.save doesn't exist, so let's better make sure player.save does exist. And I'm going to put this before all the getters and setters, right? And this is what we need to implement. And here we're going to do the same as in Unity, right? As in the original. We create a serializer, we serialize, and then, so we create a serializer, we serialize ourselves, and then we save somewhere, right? So let's create the serializer and then serialize ourselves. So var as equals serializer.new. And here we have to do a bit of work, right? Because our serializer doesn't have a mode, right? So we have an enum mode, and that is read and write, right? So we have a var mode, and that defaults to actually write, right? Unless we load a file, then self.mode equals mode read. Right, and none of that is implemented yet, but we'll get there in a minute. So, we can pass references here, so that is interesting, right? Can we? GD script pass by reference. Okay, all complex types go as references anyway. So the serializer is a complex type, right? So when we knew this, we have a serializer. We have a serializer that by default is in write mode, right? And we need a buffer for that, but let's see. Let's see how we do this, right? Let's go through the serialization motion in player first. So we have the serializer, right? And then we basically serialize, and if that goes okay, we save. And the saving we ignore for the moment, step by step. So if serialize with S, if this goes false, right, then do we return a value on save? No, we don't. We just log a warning, right? We just say print. No, we don't have a warning. Push warning failed serializing player. Right? And otherwise to do. So we have a func serialize that gets the serializer s, right? And returns a bool, and for now we just return false, right? Aha, wrong. Mixing languages is never a good idea. Oh, if I press play now and go here and go here and music is toggled to B, but nothing happens. Don't we call save? Wait, we do have the warning here, right? The parameter s is never used in the function. Yeah, that's not what we want, right? So saving player is called, but the push warning is wait. Oh. Oh, failed serializing player is here, right? We looks like we have something wrong here, right? But let's do that step by step. We touch the serializing code anyway, right? So let's look at the player. Failed serializing player because we don't do anything with it, right? So player format, all big endian, right? Serialize. We have the magic. We have the magic and check every byte in the magic, right? And I think let's actually only copy the magic. Let's copy this whole block. GD script block comment. I don't like the... Okay. So this is the... I mean, can I at least command click or... Ah, I can. Okay. Okay, can I drag? No, I can't. So I have... Can I middle... No, I have to manually select every line and then it becomes worthless, right? So we have something similar in the new zone resource loader, right? In the load, we have the chunk magic. And then we do this, right? So steal from your own code. I mean, obviously the chunk magic is wrong. So the chunk magic is this. The chunk magic is this, right? And then for every M, we take the byte, we serialize it. We serialize, so B is actually M, right? So the initialization, so if we're writing, we write it. If we're reading, we read it, right? We want both serializers working at the same time. And here we return false. So that is the chunk magic, right? And then we have the version. Let's actually do all of this and not even comment it, right? And just let's translate it. So this is a chunk magic, right? Then we have the version. We have the version. So int version, no, var version int equals version 3. Right, then we say version equals s, because we can't pass the version we are referenced because it's an int, so we have to do this weird in-out thing, right? So we serialize use 16 of the version. So if the serializer is writing, it's writing this version. If it's reading, this version is set correct afterwards, right? And then we say if version not equal 3, push warning version, version not supported. And return false, right? Return false. So this we don't format the hex, nice, but and then we just serialize everything, right? So we say coins equals s dot serialize u32 coins, right? And I'm gonna copy this line a few times and just do the old double click paste trick. Warning, this is not a U32, right? We could serialize this as a U32, but we don't want to. All right. And this is serialized bool, which we currently don't have. And in the Unity version, we cheated as well, right? Because internally serialized bool is just writing the byte as 1 or 0. Let's use the serialized bool as a good example for the serializer. So all right, so match mode dot. If we're reading, right? Well, let's do the write mode first. If we're writing, otherwise mode dot read do something and no. That red line confused me. Oh, really? Yes, and obviously the return value doesn't work. So if we are in mode write, right? If we're in mode write, we just call do we have an encode in here? Packed byte array appends. So we have lots of decodes, right? But how do we write something in a... Oh, we have encode, right? We have encode... you have encode U8. We had a decode U8, right? So we had a decode U8, right? So I would expect we have an encode U8. Okay, we have an encode U8, right? I'm not sure why this gets an offset. Oh, we need to give it the offset. Okay, fair enough. Okay. So if we're in write mode, right? If we're in write mode, we say, we do the, well, in write mode, we do nothing, right? In write mode, we just say, we assume we have the size. So the packed byte array, right? This is the packed byte array, holds bytes. So this doesn't auto extend, right? Does it? So we probably need more an append, because encode said the array must have at least 1 byte of space, right? So how do we, can we grow it? Alias of pushback. So we could just push back. Ideally, okay. So we know the size, right? I wish there was a back. How do I navigate back here? Still haven't mastered this editor, right? So if I'm gonna have a function here, right? So if we're in write mode, we call ensure space space 1, right? We want to ensure there's space for 1 byte. And then we can say self data dot encode u8, right? At self.pos, which we will increase in the line after. And do we have ternary operators? Please tell me that works. Oh, really? I mean, okay. If v really, I mean, we have one else 0. Oh, that. Ooh. Okay, obviously the ensure space doesn't work, right? So, but in this case, we just return the value, right? We always return the original value. If ensure space fails, we are in trouble. And in the read mode, I mean, actually, yeah, let's do the size check here, right? And I'm pretty sure the size check here is wrong, right? And this is not correct, right? So var, this is r equals, not equals 0, right? 0, well. If R is not 0, then it's true. Oh. This is exhaustive, right? So this should never trigger, because either we are in write mode or we are in read mode. So what was the default? Right, this should never happen. If we ever hit this, we're in trouble, right? Obviously, the ensure space doesn't work, so we can make this growing smart, right? We can make this growing smart. Let's... So if we init this, right? If we knew this instead of loading a file, then we set data, and this is the packed array, right? This is just, I assume, equals packed array dot new. Maybe put a dot here, right? And there is no new, so still struggling with the language. Okay. So, but here, shouldn't it be this then as well? Okay. But we have the packed array, right? And that has a resize and that has a size. So we get the size, and if the size and the position is not big enough, right? We could, we have the position, right? So when we're ensuring the space, we say var s equals data size, right? And calling this in read mode is wrong, right? But, and var p is the position, right? So if the size, the position plus the count is larger or equal, so we are at position 0, right? And we have size 1. Well, the next write will be at this position, right? So if we need to grow, and we just say data resize, and here we can get smart, right? Here we can say double it up. And I'm probably gonna do this, right? So every time we write, we just double the size, and then at the end we truncate it before writing it. So we say data resize underscore position, right? And it's self. I had it wrong. So if there's enough space, we do nothing. If we need more space, we double up the size, right? Let's say ns is s times 2, and then just say print, just for now, resizing serializer to ns. I could have just put the s times 2 here, but this way we use the same thing, right? Now this is the write of the bool. We ensure one space. We encode it and we set the position and we return the original value. In the read mode, we check, do we still have data? And I'm pretty sure this is wrong. Then we decode it from U8 and then we do this, right? And the funny thing is, I'm just going to steal this here and put it here, right? Because in the U8 case, if we're writing, we need one space. We need to encode U8 and we just encode the value, right? Just the lowest byte. And then we return the value. And in the decode, we just return R, right? Makes sense? I would love to have an explicit read byte and write byte. So let's start this because we use serialize U8 quite a lot, right? And if we messed up things, the zones will not load. Something will go horribly wrong, right? But that seems to be not the case. So let's change this, right? And I quit out real quick and we said, oh, resizing serializer to 0. Oh, maybe starting with 0 is not such a good idea, right? So, and this is, do we have a, right? We want it to be at least 1 because doubling up 0 doesn't gain us anything, right? Because we keep doubling it up and 2 times 0 is still there, 0. So let's try this again. We force a save by clicking here, right? And I think it crashed. Oh. Is it s,1? Is it mass.max? GD script mass int max. Mass. Yeah, okay. Numbers. How? I forgot how to. Is it just classic? Is it just max? It is. I'm slowly getting back into that Godot mode, right? So let's make sure we have this. We click here and then we double the size to 4, to 2, to 4, to 8, right? Because we're running out of space for the U8, which is weird. Do we have something to print? Didn't we have some code that dumped stuff as hex that I could just steal Apparently we didn't. So I was confused that because we have the player, right? And the player, okay, we serialize 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, and then serialize U16 and okay, none of this is implemented. Okay, so it worked because it serialized these 8, right? Man, my brain is not 100%. So we could just copy this to all the other serializers, right? I'm pretty sure this here is not needed anymore because we never get there, right? What we're gonna do it a little bit different here, right? So what we're gonna do is var a equals, and here we want to steal the order, right? So, or let's call it high low. So low is this and high is the other one, right? So we have low equals v and right, the lower byte, and high equals v, and here we have to be careful because we do a shift by 8 bits, and then we still mask because we cannot be sure this is U16, right? Because this is a U64 and we might get junk in the upper bits. And what I really like to do usually is do this. I'm not sure if, right? And then let's put this actually in here, right? And then what we do is we just do self.serialize U8 L, right? L, just the order, right? We write L first, and then low, high, big endian, low, high, big endian, right? And you could argue one is a switch case or the double work more efficient. And here V equals, basically, we take high and shift it to the right, and then or in low. Right, and no need to do anything. We could have just called the decode here, but let's see. Yeah, let's call this var R just because this is the result, right? And this should serial, so we don't care if we write or read, right? We decompose the U16 into low and high. We write or read the low and high, and then we recompose a U16 out of that. Right? Since we don't have types like bytes and U16s here, I'm a bit squeezy about, oh, this could go so bad. So all the logic, and we could have just, to be honest, we could do the same here, right? We could say var v b, right, is 1 or 0. Ugly as hell. And then we say self serialize U8 of the B, right? Assign the B. And then we say var result equals basically not equal 1, right? And then we return R. So we have the whole logic for everything is based on bytes. Once we start to optimize and write bits, this will need re-entangling, but right now the whole write switch log is in here and the ensuring space is also here, right? That means sadly we ensure space here, right? We ensure one space here and then we ensure another. So that could get ugly because we know we need 2 here. We could do an ensure space 2 here, right? But we double it up anyway. So worst case, we hit that 1, 2. I mean, the worst case is the serialize U32 when we have a size 0, right? So we go to size 2. And then we go, so we grow twice with 2 bytes in it, right? So who cares? So shall we give this a go? Because we broke serialize U16 as well, right? Let's see if the zones still load. I mean, that still looks solid. That still looks solid. We have a ton of errors. We have a ton of reading past end of data. I am not sure this is actually true, right? So we have self.pos and we have self.data.size. Is it like this? It's percent and then D. Okay. Mixing and matching languages. Brain needs to switch back. And believe me, we're not going to do this all the time. This is an experiment. So I want to see real quick if... So the thing is we're off by 1, right? We're actually reading valid values and we did fix that in Unity because if we're at position 0 and we have 1 byte, it's okay to read, right? It's okay to read. I expect all of these to be gone now. I mean, it's amazing that the last object in the zone probably was broken. And a lot of these, the values of ternary operator are okay. Let's say we set this to 1. And if not B, we set V, we set B to 0. V is never used in function. Serialize U32. V is never used. True. True. We never got that far, right? But let's implement the other ones real quick because this is the same, right? And we just do the ABC. So we write ABC, we write low to high, right? Same. We just do the same trick, right? So we say var A is low, right? Is low. And then I'm going to copy this line 3 times, B, C, D, and we shift this by 8 and this by 16 and this by 24, right? And then we just say A equals S dot. I'm not even sure if we want the self.serialize here, right? A. No, 1 too many. B, C, D. I mean, this is pretty much boilerplate and only needed because it's the first game we do on this platform. So we don't need a size check. We don't need this. We don't need to increase the position. Obviously, our var r is now equals D shift 24 ORed with C shifted by 16 ORed with B shifted by 8 ORed with A. And again, this is assuming bytes. If serialize U8 accidentally gives us in U16 with stuff in the higher bits here, we have a problem, right? So that's serialize U32, and the decode float and encode float will be interesting. Let's see how we do that. Oh wait, we wanted to see if so the zones still work, right? So we didn't break that. The zones still work. We got a ton of errors. But we're gonna remove them one by one, right? Decode float is gonna be interesting. So I don't want to do the float encoding myself, right? So I want to keep that. But how do we do this? So what if we had bytes, right? And bytes, and that is a packed byte array. This is a bit ugly, and I'm not sure I want to do it this way, right? But then we can say, okay, then we can say bytes dot encode float, right, at 0, and just put the value in there, right? And then our bytes have the float in there. And then we can say self.serialize U8. I'm not sure if we can actually do it like this, if we can index. We can, so I mean this probably should be a loop, and we're a bit dirty here, right? We're doing a bit dirty here. Hey Stendel, yo. I missed the raid. I still don't have the stream overlay. I'm like, sorry about that. Here I am talking to myself. Hey, how are you doing? We're just redoing the serializer because we want to write the game save. Let me fix this 4 lines here. Let me wrap this up, and then so this old code is gone now, right? But well, let's keep it here for reference. So var r is basically bytes decode. He who can type. Now I'm out of my groove. Decode float at 0, right? And that's all. So let's see what broke. I'm pretty sure I'm 99% sure we just broke it all. Let's go small. Oh, maybe I should trust myself more, right? We didn't break it. We did not break it. Nice. Nice. So I'm not going to touch the serialized fixed string for now because we don't need that for serializing the player. Right? We don't need that for serializing the player. What I will do is in the player, just to see if we totally messed up, right? At this point, if we make it out of the serializer alive, and we probably will, right? Because we probably won't. Okay. So why don't we say serializer save to do, right? To do. We don't know where files are yet, so we have a load, and maybe we have a save file, right? Maybe we don't have a pass string, and maybe this gives us a bool, and for now it just returns false. I just want to write the whole game logic in Rust, to be honest. This whole okay, I'm blabbering again, and we obviously called it save file, and we're not actually saving the file right now. What I want to do is, in this case, what I want to do is, do we have a for each on this? Can we iterate on that? I mean, we have the size. Can we actually... So we guys just use the size and the index operator, right? So for I in no, still learning GD script, still learning GD script like a looping for n in range. That is good, right? I mean, we can just do for n in 8, and 8 is the size, right? So for n in when we say var b equals self the data I, right? And then we just do a print. Let's just can we do this? I just want to print the bytes, right? And we're talking about 20 bytes right now, so let's give this a shot. I'm pretty sure I messed this up, so you're writing a ton of zeros. Oh, so we're writing, let's check our player magic, right? So our magic is 4F, 4F, 4D, 46, 4F, 4D, 46, 49, 49, 49, 53, 48. That looks good. Then we have a big endian version, Then we have a ton of zeros, because all of these values are zeros, which are fantastic for testing. And then we have sound and music enabled, right? And sound and music enabled is, so we just disabled the music, so we got a 0 and a 1. So let's just check the last two values, right? Because that's the only thing we're interested in. The rest seems to be okay for now. So music is off, sound is on. Oh, we don't do the thing yet, right? But 2 1s, 1 1, right? So that serialization works. Let's go to the settings dialog real quick, because we toggle the music, right? But let's do the sound, right? On sound. Sound. No. I was too fast here. And sound, right? So let's see if the last two values are 1s and 0s correctly. So 0, 1. It helps to wire up that, right? So it helps to wire up this button. No, wrong button, wrong button. The sound toggle button is not wired up, right? This toggled is not wired up. So the settings dialog has no chance of getting the signal, right? So let's try this one more time, and then we actually get into saving the file. And I have no idea where we're saving it, right? So 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, and 1, 1. So the serialization of the bools, we have lots of zeros in between, is working, right? So where do we save this file now? Right? We save, but we don't know where. So func get save pass, which will return a string. And I have no idea, right? I have no idea. So we're going to read the documentation. So we var p equals get save pass, saving player to this, right? S. And couldn't find type string in current scope. What? Oh, obviously. So if we don't know what we're doing, Godot, where to save user progress, where to put save games. Saving games. Yeah, we have our serialization done, right? Okay, so we use user save game save. Right, so we used in the Unity version, we used, we used player data, right? So let's mix that up, right? So the save pass is, I wanted this, right? And this is basically player.data. Can we explode this? Can we expand this path? I mean, I don't know where this is, right? File system tutorial. User pass. Writing to disk, save to this, ensures there's a special path that is always writable. This path, how can we resolve this? I want to know where this file actually ends up. I want to know where this file ends up, and I'm not sure why the documentation is not loading today. Weird. So right, I mean, while we're waiting for that, we actually can go into the serializer that actually does the saving, right? And yes, the dumping is nice, but so let's just call this f, right? And the pass is the pass, and we want to write, right? So we have a f, and we have a packed array. So how do we write a packed array to the file, right? So what does file access open give us? Mixing and matching online and inline documentation. So this gives us back. Wow. So we can get individual. Oh, we have everything we need already there. But can we put a whole we can store individual 8s, right? Oh, we can store buffer. A store buffer will do exactly what we want, but danger, right? Danger. So you can just say f store buffer, and then say self.data, right? One problem with this, right? But I want to do it. We were doubling our data size, right? So our packed array is bigger than the size we need. So we need to truncate it before writing. I'm intentionally not doing that right now because I want to see the file first, right? So we go here, we force a save. And nothing crashed, right? So I assume we saved. I assume we saving player, save file. I mean, it would have been nice to have saving to user player data. So where is this file now? I mean, where is this file, right? Where is this? So on Mac OS, it's here. Let's see if it's here. Let's see if it's here, right? Hex dump. Ah, there's a space in there. My bad. Okay. So we have library, right? We have application support. We do have Godot. We have app user data, and we have Fiiish v3, and we have player data there. So and maybe I still have the hex dump from Unity here. And these files look surprisingly similar. And we don't need to truncate this file, right? Because we have we doubled to 32 bytes and used exactly the 32 bytes. So I'm intentionally going to wreck it for a second. Right, so how do we do this? So let the player, right, the player serialize. Let's just serialize it true at the end, right? Or let's just serialize a U8 and make that 0x55. And we don't care about the result, right? So if I run this now, and we're not deserializing yet, we're only serializing, but that's a good start. Right, so I forced the save. Did we write the final wrong direction? It's interesting that the passes look pretty similar. So here you see we wrote the 55, right? And then a ton of zeros because we doubled up the size. And obviously we don't want that. So let's fix that real quick. And that's in the serializer. Before we store, right? Basically we can say self.data resize to self.position. Right, so if we wrote 5 bytes, our position will be 5, and we want to resize this to 5. Let's give that a quick shot. We force a save, and we go in the wrong direction. And now it's truncated at the perfect size, right? Okay, that looks good. Let's undo this, right? And this is the saving of the player. That's all there is to it. And we have the full serialization of player state in this one page, including the magic and probably the serializer. Maybe we extend the serializer to be a Fiiish serializer, and that then has a special magic handling, so we can even get rid of this and an expectation on the version, and then the whole serialization will just be counting up the fields, right? And that is reading and writing. Obviously, loading doesn't work, so we need to load somewhere. But that is pretty easy, right? So what we can just do is func load. And the thing is, gd script static function. Oh, wow. This is not where I want it to be. Oh, we can just do static, right? We can just do static, okay. So what we will have is a static function that might give us back a player, right? That will give us back a player. Well, that might give us a backup player because then we can manually handle the... So we get the safe pass, right? We loading player from. We have a var as equals serializer dot load file. I'm not sure that's how we did it, right? Okay, so we had slightly different syntax. I'm not happy about this, but so we load the file, and the file is P, right? Oh, get safe pass can also be static, right? No problem there. And the return value is not done yet because the load file. So the load file always works. So I want this to return a bool and say, hey, if you fail, right? And basically we say if self dot data dot size equals 0. I'm not sure what this will do on an error. Then we return false, right? Otherwise we return true. I'm not sure what the error handling looks like. So we get a packed byte array, returns an empty if an error occurred. Get open error returns the result of the last open in the current thread. So get open error is on, where is this? Properties, big endian. So we have a get last error, right? So in the serializer, in this case, var e equals file access get last. Where was this get last error? Get open error. Print error opening. I mean, what does it return when the file size actually is empty? Error opening %s, and we do %pass here, right? And I actually want to see this error, and we can force this error, right? So if not load file, then we return null, right? Couldn't load player data. And for now, we just return null here as well, as in not implemented. And then the game on the init, actually on the ready, it can say, we can just do a null here, right? And we can say on ready, and I hope nobody accessed. Actually, let's have a default player just in case, and say var player equals player dot load, right? And if player not null, then we overwrite the default player, right? Otherwise, we just use it. And wrong direction. I am gonna delete this file, right? I'm gonna delete this file so it's not there. So when I start, I want to see that error message, right? It doesn't break, right? It's not wrong that the player never played before. Error, couldn't load player data, right? Error opening, so size of is 0, so that is expected. And if I go here now and go in here now and force a save, wrong direction. That file is there now again, right? With music off and sound on. I realigned my browser, so if I quit now, right, and start now again, it shouldn't. So the size is 32, and that's what we wanted, right? So it found the file and it's using it. Obviously, it's loaded the file, but it didn't serialize, right? So we are gonna do this. Oh, that is obviously not a static function, right? So we do var layer equals player.new, and then obviously do this on player, right? And in this case, we return a null. I would love to return options, to be honest. And if it worked, we return the player, right? We do the return the player. And what I want to do real quick is just as a proof of life, right? Print music is if player dot is music enabled, music is on, else music is off, right? And I wouldn't do a full game in scripting. This is getting out of hand, but that's what we wanted to see, right? If it does work. So let's give it a shot. So let's see if we see this output, right? So music is off. I mean, obviously the dialog doesn't do that yet, but if I turn it off and on and quit and start again, I expect to see a music is on. So music is on, so it's using the state from the file, right? But obviously the dialog is still wrong. And come on. The dialog doesn't initialize correctly, right? So that is pretty straightforward. So, and now we have an initialization order issue. So the settings dialog, right? On ready. So the question is who owns the initialization, right? We could put it just on the sound toggle button, but that's a toggle button and doesn't know where its initial state comes from, right? So this has a goto function. So what if the settings dialog, right? The settings dialog, the script here had an export var sound toggle button that is a toggle button container, right? And a music toggle button. And yes, we are wiring this up manually in the UI. I'm fine with that, right? So the settings dialog in the spec has the two buttons. So we just wire in the music button and the sound button. It drives me a bit crazy that I did them the other way around. So I hope when I change this order, okay, the assignment got it. So now on ready, right? On ready, we can just say, hey, game, var player, right? Is game. And here initialization order becomes interesting, right? So if player dot is music enabled, then we say music toggle button go to A. Else we say music toggle button go to B, right? And the same for sound. We could have a go to true, go to A, B, go to A if true, otherwise go to B. Maybe some quality of life changes here. The question is, when this ready is called, right? And I'm gonna setting dialog ready, right? I want to see this and the game ready, right? If the game ready happens after the setting dialog, this will not work, right? And I'm not sure what the initialization order is actually. Top down, parents first. So setting dialog ready came pretty late. So after game, so we should be fine. Right, so they're both on. I'm gonna turn them both off. Right, I'm gonna quit out. We know these values are both 0. We're gonna start again. And both off. So we're saving the state. We have persistent state, which, hallelujah. So we only turn the music on, we quit out. Let's try this once more. And only the music is on, and we do it the other way around, right? If I manage to click that button. And nice. 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 So let's update the to-do because this is worth Where's a push? Where's a commit, right? 2024, 10, 17. A dozen hours in, right? And actually, we add player serialization, right? Technically, we did this, right? The pause handling is working good enough. The crossfading and the fading is working, and we don't have a result dialog yet, right? So I think result dialog is next, so we can actually see the player progress. But I want to do this one commit first, right? So hey, we almost at a game, episode 20, so about 60 hours in split halfway. So add player serialized persistence to Godot. And so the to-do, we added the write mode to, and actually maybe that is worthwhile mentioning as well, right? Add write mode to serializer in Godot. Work in progress, because we don't have strings and floats yet, but, well, we don't have strings yet, we do have the floats, so I'm happy with that. So that's the serializer, right? And we cleaned that up a bit, so that's fine. We load the player on game ready, and maybe that trace is not needed, right? Maybe this trace is a bit noisy. A bit noisy. We're gonna leave this in, right? Because if we ever hit the initialization order problem, we know why. We have an explicit state for the toggles. We added that extra panel so we can have our logic in the tree, right? We switched from string to an explicit toggle state, which is better anyway, and used that everywhere, right? And I'm pretty sure we forgot something. Export scripts. Yeah, we forgot the player dialog, player script, and the settings dialog script. And with that, I mean, theoretically, this should have triggered a build. And I'm gonna let you watch this build while I gonna take a short break. I need to refill my... How are we doing for time? Yeah, we have a little bit of time. I'll be back in a few seconds. Looks like that build is done. Let me try something. We don't only have a Steam build, we also have a web build. For now. And I wonder... Oh, we still have the problem that the web build for some reason doesn't load the... But I wonder if we turn these two off, right, and reload the page. Ooh! They are off! Amazing. I have no idea why the assets are not uploaded. And the thing is, why the zones are not uploaded, the thing is they're not referenced in the tree, right? So Godot probably says, yeah, these resources, no, you're not using them. And if you're not using them, I'm not putting them in the build, right? Which is fair enough. Which is fair enough. So where were we? I mean, Godot is catching up fast as usual, right? Save and load settings and progress. So I would say we saving and loading the progress. We're just not applying it, and for that handling the result dialog is responsible. So why don't we start with the result dialog, right? And I hope this will be a bit easier in Godot than it was in Unity, but let's see, right? We have the settings dialog here. So let's do it the same way, right? Let's do it the same way. Let's have a fadeable for the fading, and then the dialog under it. So that's actually, so what if we add a fadeable container, right? And call this result dialog fadeable container. That does nothing in itself. I just want the, so I want the layout, anchors, center, right? Just like this. I'm not sure where the size comes from. And then I add the dialog under it, right? So I'm gonna just add a control under it. I'm just gonna add a control under it, right? And this is the result dialog. And yes, we could make that into their own scenes, and probably we should right click here and say, hey, make that scene so it gets out of our way. But for now, I don't care, right? And the result dialog, just like the settings dialog, has a texture rect, right? Just has a texture rectangle. Texture rectangle, and that texture rectangle, we have the texture here in UI, right, is the other panel. It's this one here, right? Is this one, and obviously this the positioning, so this settings dialog, the layout is inherited, right? Same here. I wish there was a way to say, hey, inspector, if I open the same things, open the same things. Then the texture rectangle here in the layout has inherited and position. I wish I could right click and say copy. And right click and apply, right? Can I just center this, right? This is a result dialog, and yes, it's not an accident that they look very similar, right? It's not an accident. It's reusing assets. So we're gonna add the same margin container, right? Gonna add the same margin container. I'm not sure. Oh, we have the values here. I'm not sure why we don't see them. I mean, okay, we have the color rect here, right? So maybe we copy this color rect here and put this into our margin container, right? Add a margin container, marring container. And then we just paste this under it, right? And we want the color rect here to be invisible because, and our result dialog texture rect visible. And then the margin container, wouldn't it be nice at 240, 260, 140, 380? Right, seam overrides contacts, 240, 280, 240, 260, 140, 380. And this is not 240, 60, 140, 380, 240, 260, 140, 380. Probably the full rect is not in the layout. Layout mode is anchors, and this is full rect, right? And you see this margin container probably should be slightly different. So isn't this nice that it just says margin and doesn't show us the values? Okay, my screen is getting too small. I want to go multi-screen, right? I want the top, right? Can I just drag? Oh, I can just drag it, right? But only in increments of 5. So maybe we start to 30, 38. Maybe we start at 240, right? And on the left, we start at 300. Maybe it's 320. Maybe 340, right? We want this box here, and the right is about right, and the bottom can be a bit larger, right? Oh, wrong direction. 360. So this is where we want our result text to be, right? And I'm going to do a VBox and then put H boxes in it, right? So I'm going to add a child node VBox, right? And the layout is, yeah. It fills in both directions, right? That feels good. And we're just going to do one box for now. So we're going to do a H box here, right? H box, and we call this result row. Let's just call it result row, right? And in that result row, we're going to have a text. Wait, do we have? What did we use for this, right? What is this? The hot, it's a label, right? This is a label. So yeah, let's just use the same. Let's just use the same. So in the result row, we add a label, right? And this is, we called it the total label, which is not completely correct. And then we add another label, no, as a zipling, and call it the current label, right? And let's just put total and current in here, right? And I want to make the font a bit bigger. So theme, we open the theme, right? We open the scene, and we have a score label already, but let's add a oh wait, that's not what I wanted to do. I cannot undo this down here. Okay. So I want to add a result label, right? Result label. The base type of that result label obviously is label. Label. Let's apply this to these two real quick, because this is the theme type variation is result label. So we see actually what we're doing. And we still in the result label. We make the font file is fine, right? No, it's the wrong font as well. So we just make a quick load and use our standard font, and the font size we override to, I don't know, 48? Can be even bigger, right? 64? That's fine. We have one problem now, right? So seam done. We have one problem here, right? If this text changes to, it moves the right box, right? And I want both boxes to be the same size. Fixed same size, share the space. So the result row has a size, a layout, fill and expand, right? So if we set both of these in layout, container sizing, horizontal expand with the same stretch ratio, they will use this, they will share the space, right? If I would set this to layout, I'm not sure why this is not open. If I would set this to 2, right? It would share 2 to 1, but we want to say 2 to same size, right? And obviously I want the text alignment. No, to be right. Right, numbers always right aligned. And remember how hard this was in Unity. Before I make this their own scene, right? I'm gonna add a script here. I'm gonna create a script. Results row. And that could just find its own label, but export var total label is a label, right? And then we have the current label. The current label. And then here in the inspector, we just say, hey, total label, current label, pretty straightforward. And then we give it some functions that set total equal, oh yeah, value string, right? And that is total label dot text equals v, right? And this is current label. And we learned from our Unity, right? And we have a clear, which basically sets both labels to, let's just set both labels to nothing. Right, so then we can set that from the outside. And I actually want to have, we have scenes, right? I'm going to create a folder in scenes and it's going to say create folder UI for all the UI scenes. And then I'm just going to say, hey, this result row, I'm gonna save this as a scene, and that is in scenes UI. Result row is fine, right? Because we don't want one result row. We want, and this is the coin result row, right? Coins result row. Then we duplicate this and call this the distance result row, right? And you see one problem already. We're gonna fix this in a second. And then we have the best distance result row. And then we have the total distance result row, right? How are we doing for time? So This is nice. And we can wire them all up in the result dialog now. Right, so let's fix the formatting, right? So this is the VBox container, and this is okay. The problem is that the height of the individual elements, right, is not high enough. So this height here, the layout here, so how I want them to be split correctly, right? So I could make them all higher, but I want the container to actually split them, right? Can I? So oh, wait. We don't want to overwrite this here. We want to overwrite this here, right? Right. That was too easy. I mean, I was expecting this to take like an hour. So we have our layout. That means we can disable this color rect, and this looks pretty good. This looks pretty good. I mean, if I start the game now, it will just be in your face, right? We don't want that, so we need to do the initial fading and stuff. But for now, I want to add the script here on the result dialog, right? And we need to sort where our scripts go. And our result dialog at export, right, has the coins result row, which is a result row, right? Ah. What is the script here? Oh. Right, we want the result row here, so oh, my bad. Right, this is the coins result row, and we just duplicate that to coins distance best distance and total distance. Right, and then we just bam, bam, bam. And dragging is pretty far. Now I understand why some people have this on the left. Right, so on ready, we just say coins result row clear, distance result row clear, right? Best distance result row clear, and total distance result row clear. All right, so when I start this now, I expect the dialog to be there, but the fields to be empty, right? But it still shouldn't be visible at all, right? So the visibility, this is a fadable container, right? So on start, right? The pause menu is the pause menu fading is triggered by the pause button, right? But this fading is basically on ready. Now, so I was wondering if the result dialog should just trigger itself, right? Can I just do get parent fade out? Can I just do this, right? I mean, this is kind of leaking the fact that we know where we are. But I mean, obviously now when we die, we want that dialog to fade in, right? So how do we do this? So we do a bit of cleanup, right? And we did that in, so Fiiish currently has the state, right? And actually I'm going to move this into game. I'm going to move the enum into game, right? Just the enum for now, nothing else. It stays in the Fiiish, but I'm going to remove this, right? Moved into game, right? And this is basically game dot state, waiting for start now. And this is game dot state, right? And this will have a ton of, so I'm just gonna copy this and gonna find state in this file, matching case. Just gonna yeah, even in comments, that's fine. And that's it. Does it work again? Okay, it's still working, right? We can swim and we can die. And we can respawn. So that's still working, right? The reason why I want to do this is I want the Fiiish to have the state is accessible, right? And I'm not sure if this should have been private. So we're going to do a bit of shenanigans here, right? So the thing is what we really want, right? The result dialog should have a func on game state changed, right? State game dot state, right? That is what we want. So we need to wire this up. So the game needs to send that signal, and we could wire it up to Fiiish state changed, but I don't want the result dialog to know there's a single Fiish, right? Because so this has a signal state changed, right? This has a signal state changed, and then this signal state changed here. Wait, where's state changed? I'm on the wrong node, right? I'm on the right script, but on the wrong node. So we have state changed, right? And we want to, can I? I'm not sure. Can I do this? No. Okay. That would have been too nice, right? So we have a result dialog on game state changed, right? And where did why is the signature wrong? This undo here doesn't make me happy, right? So how do I tell this that it has parameters. Godot script signal with parameter. And this is probably just going to be a variant. Yeah, I want to see how I do it in code. Okay. To emit extra arguments. Oh, we can just in the signature, we can define it, right? Can we say we can, and then we can do the same thing again, right? I'm not sure why this dialog is not like this by default. I mean, there's so much space on the screen. Just make it bigger. Right? And then we pick this, and then we can pick the one with the right signature. And obviously this does nothing yet. So the question is, so the game owns the fishes, right? And there's only one fish right now. So I'm going to have the fish emit the signal to the game, right? So I'm going to go to the fish, and the fish has a signal state changed. Right? And that has a state, and that is a game.state. Signal. It's better, right? And this I can wire up to the game now on fish state changed, right? And connect this. I go to the game and have hopefully a fish state changed. And that just passes on, that just emits this state changed, right? For now. We just pass this through, right? No, this is fine, but the fish doesn't trigger that signal yet, right? So wherever we have state equals, right, we would need to emit that signal. So I'm going to have a little helper and say func set state, right? And that will state changed emit. And maybe this should take the state, right? And then emits that signal and says self.state equals state. And then wherever we direct state, access state directly, we say set state and this, right? And this is gone. And then we take this and say dying. And then respawning. I mean, we were pretty clean already, so that makes this easier, respawning, right? So this we ignore, right? And this is waiting for start, so we're gonna do the same here. And then we have a state dead, which hopefully is the last. Ah, come on. I know it's in a comment, but we will mess this up, right? So what we did now is the result dialog, right? The result dialog, print results dialog state changed to right, So I'm gonna play on the other screen, right? So I'm gonna play. Result dialog changed to 1. I mean, we only have numericals, right? And now I die. So the state changed to 2, which is the second state. And then it changed to 3 because I'm dead now, right? I was dying and now I'm dead. And now I'm respawning. And now I'm waiting for start. And now I'm swimming again, right? So I could have just done it here. Then you could have watched this, but now the result dialog knows what's going on, right? And that's exactly what we need, because isn't it dying? It's dying, right? Because if it's dying, we need to do something, right? And then, so if it's dying, we need to do something, right? If it's dead, we don't need to do anything, right? We just stay dead. So this is expected. And in any other case, right, we do something again. Obviously no colon here. So what I want to do is when we go into state dying, right, we actually start. So we fade in, right? And in any other state, if whatever state, we should not be visible. So we fade out, right? So I swim, I die, the dialog fades in, right? The dialog fades in, I start swimming again and it fades out again. So it's never in the way when I play, whatever I mess up in the state handling, right? And if I crash into a building, well, an obstacle, it fades in and I'm dying now. I'm not dead, I'm dying. So it will trigger it will trigger the fade in and now I'm dead. And in the dead state, it should just stay, right? And I would say that is a good point to say it was a productive evening, right? Oh, I like this. I like this. I want to collect some coins. I want to collect some. Maybe we should change. Something is wrong with this font up here, right? We messed up this font. We did mess up this font. Let's quickly check. This is using the hot score label. And this is using the hot score label. And in the seams, the hot score label has that other font. So this is the wrong font. There's this thing with Godot that sometimes it messes up the theme, and I haven't found a pattern yet. This is the wrong result label. Where's the hot score label? Where did the hot score label go? The hard score label somehow lost its base type. The hard score label lost its base type, so we couldn't use it here, right? So, and the other one now works again too. I'm not sure how that happened. Maybe I accidentally clicked it when we were tweaking the UI. So I am very tempted. Okay, we're going to do one more thing, right? In the result dialog. In the result dialog here, right? Here we prepare this stuff. So we need the game, right? Well, let's check real quick, because game. So the game doesn't know the game manager, right? The game doesn't know the game manager. So we want to give the game manager. So add export var game manager, right? Game manager. Some wiring up, so the game knows the game manager, right? We could just access that. We already have a get game manager. Okay. Right? We have a get game manager, so all back, one square. So the results dialog, right? The results dialog needs the game. And I don't want to have the percent access outside of tree, right? You can we still haven't decided what we're going to do, right? But the result dialog, let's say the result dialog export var game equals null, right? And then we just drag the game in there. It doesn't really matter how we wire it up for now. But that means we can get the game manager, right? And we can get the player, which we don't really need at this point. Do we have a get player? Right, which we don't really need at this point. We can remove the pass if we're actually doing something. And the game manager, right, var coins, and is game manager dot coins, and distance equals game manager distance in meters. Right, and then we can actually say coin result row dot set current, right? And we're gonna set it to %d percent coins. And for the distance result row, we're gonna set it to distance, but we're gonna add the meters here, right? And then we do the whole easing animation reward thing the next time. But so I swim, and it's gone again. Did I do undo or something stupid? So I add 20 meters with 0 coins, right? Or just to prove the point. Maybe collect some coins, actually. I'm not sure why we killed the seam. What did we mess? What did I do? Undo or something? Right, and now I swim into something, and maybe our box needs to be a bit more to the left. Maybe it's too far to the right. But what did I do in this? What do I do to the seam, right? It lost the base type again. Was that me clicking undo? Maybe it was me clicking undo, but we have this margin container here, right? And we said maybe on the right, we want a bit more space. Do you remember how hard that would have been in Unity? Impossible. Let's swim. Let's swim. And we have the right font up there. We have the right font up there, up there, up there. Oh, and maybe disable the red rectangle. Wrong direction. So that was actually Godot. Start adding result dialog sounds good, right? I mean, we already have the player progress, so we basically did kind of this is done. So I hope next time we catch up to Unity and then we can get into fancy stuff like the background. Oh, the background is giving me nightmares because we will have to do shaders for both platforms. But before we do this, Season 1, Episode 20, start adding result dialog to Godot. Right, we updated the to-do. We moved the state into game. I mean, it shouldn't have been in the fish anyway. That's a historic accident. That's a lot of changes, just game dot. We extracted the state, so we have the state changed only once. Right, and that's all we did in the fish. We added the state to the game. I wish we could have like a state.gd that only has this enum, but that's currently not working. That would be nice. We pass through the state change, right? We connect the signal. We added the textures from the UI. Added some hierarchy here. That's fine. We set the label size, right? We added the. It doesn't have a name. It does. Oh, here's the result label name. Okay, that's interesting. The format here. And obviously we need the result row scene, the result row dialog, and we need to sort where the scripts go and make it a bit more consistent. And we will definitely do that, but I think I should exclude the export from the git ignore, right? And I'm just gonna do this real quick. Wait. That's better. And then also ds store, right? Dot ds underscore store, was it? Dot ds underscore store, right? Just to have this a bit cleaner. The idea stuff, maybe we should just add this as well. I don't even want any of the idea stuff in there, right? So in Unity, so vim unity fish dot git ignore insert dot idea, right? Any idea. And any monocrash dot JSON, right? Can I do it like this? Do I need to double star mono crash JSON? Okay, that looks slightly cleaner now, right? So let's stage this git ignore for the export and DS store and for the Unity stuff. And we're not going to add that to the commit message, right? We're going to do a rebase and we're going to do a push. And the nice thing is, yes, this should still work, right? After all the noise is gone, but we're building the project. And while we're building, we're going to play a bit. Let's play some Fiiish. Let's see how far I can get. Before you distract me too much, or I distract you too much. Well, I distract myself. That's not good. So I admit I did like 8-9 kilometers one time, but that was before the coin explosions, right? And this is so satisfying, this endless coins. Okay, I think the build is done, right? Let's pause. We actually have pause, so the build is not done, so we're going to keep playing for a bit. Focus. Focus. So the Steam version is currently the Godot version, because it was just easier to build and package, much easier. So I went with that. Let's see if we decide at the end that the Unity version is better suited for public consumption, then we change that. But for now, the Steam version will be the Godot version, right? Let's check again. It's still downloading. What's going on with the internet today? I mean, this is 4 megabytes a second. This should be like 80 megabytes a second or 1,000. Okay. Autofocus grabbing would be nice. So this almost looks good. As soon as we have the background scrolling, this will immediately look much better. And obviously the debug menu down here also has to go. Maybe we make it toggable. We're a magic hotkey, but for now we just leave it on. I mean, we have the coin counter up here, right? So we don't need it down here. So it's still loading. It hasn't even started. It's just setting up Godot from the cache, right? I'm not sure why this is. Maybe GitHub is having some I'm pretty sure I typed a lot of P's in some window on the way because of focus. Ooh, that was a close one. So one thing I have on my list is long-term, v3.1, right? Not v3.0. I want bullet time, so when you get very close, time slows down, right? To show the near miss. And I thought, what about pixel perfect collision? I mean, that kind of negates the bullet time, but maybe we have a bigger version of the Fiiish that triggers bullet time. Pixel perfect collision, as in we render all the obstacles, the colliders into a buffer render target, and render all the destroyables, the Fiiish. So we render the hitboxes of the obstacles into one layer and the hurt boxes of everything that can be hurt, in this case, this one fish, into another layer, another render target, and then check both render targets if the same pixel is set. Or we render into the same render target, but with an OR and have, I don't know, bit 1 for obstacles and bit 2 for the fish. And then we check if anything has bit 1 and 2 set. I really would like to try pixel perfect collision. I'm not sure if that's a smart idea, how that will perform, but I like the idea. So update, building. I think it's done. Yeah, that's the wrong page. So we still don't have zones on the web for obvious reasons. But if I kill the little fish, did I forget to disable that box? Ugh. So close, but it is working. It is just working. So now, if I had, did I forget to save? I mean, that box is definitely disabled, right? And yes, disable position helper rect in Godot. Rectangle. That I missed. That is. In any case, this is good enough, right? I have to look into how to. Actually, let's do this right now, right? So I think it's just project export. So resources, export all resources. Export all resources in the project, right? But we have, so the thing is, it doesn't, the folder doesn't even show up, right? So if I open this in the file manager, we have in resources, we have the zones, right? In resources, we have the zones. Oh, they're actually here now. So can I just say, I mean, I can test this in the web browser, right? No. I can run this in the browser, right? And it will start in the wrong browser. Right? Your browser does not support JavaScript. Yes, that is true because localhost should be allowed, right? Okay, that makes for much faster iteration, right? That is nice. And here the zones are here. Right? So it's just a matter of it not packing the files. And the question is develop tools. Oh, come on. I want web developer tools. Could you just find that, right? I wonder if it's loading them from the network or... So they must be in the pack file, right? I mean, I haven't found a way to unpack the pack, but I guess our zones are in this file, right? And somehow in the released version, they are not. But I'm not going to debug this today because this is a toy. I'm going to debug this off stream and then tell you what the result was, right? But here we actually can play in the browser, which is nice. And I really have to set a demo flag or an overlay and say, hey, please have fun here, but buy the game. I really want to do a Switch version or something like that. Or maybe PlayStation version. Oh, wouldn't that be nice? Okay. All of this is working now. And I did the other commit, and that probably also... Did I already push that? Did I already push that? That's already done. So if I reload here, and that's the web version... That is the web version. If I die here, the ugly red box is gone and my coins and my distance are correct. And the next time I will see you, we're going to fix this and make this nice and animated, just like the Unity version. Probably taking exactly the same approach. We want them to behave the same. Even the balancing values we'll use the same. But for today, thanks for being here. Stay safe, and I see you soon on this channel.